But my number 5 receiver is Jordan Addison out of USC. And he's been given first round grade, or I've seen him, count towards the later in the first round. Bills seem to be a popular spot for him. And star on his strengths, pretty good, pretty agile. He can work definitely on the inside slot and the outside. He's going to be definitely more short to intermediate. I kind of see him like a little bit like I want to say a Hollywood Brownish when he came out, except obviously people aren't hyping his speed up as much and he's as Hollywood Browns. But and he does have similar, I would say, weaknesses. Not very confident of him in press man, and his physicality down the field is something that I've also had a concern with Josh Downs with. Like you mentioned a lot, sometimes we overblow the 40 times because, in actual NFL, when you're running routes, you're going to get, bumped and stuff. It's a physical game. And I think that's something that Addison, especially in medium to deep routes, can struggle with. And, but nonetheless, I still think he'll find a role in the short to intermediate game. And hey, he can, if he gets good enough, he probably can set up the deep ball with his agility and with his route running, because he is one of those guys where it is pretty clean route running for the most part and footwork. And then I'll mention some of the other guys too. They have the ability that when they do get the ball in their hands, it feels like they're faster and shiftier. They're just a lot like, the Deebo Samuels of the world, those guys. Addison doesn't really seem to have that. It seems like, once he has the ball in his hands, if he doesn't juke you out of your shoes or blow by you, if you get your hands, if a DB gets his hands on him, for the most part, he's going down. So he is my number 5.
But my number 4, I want to go back to my list. It's the guy that you had at number 5, Jordan Addison, okay. USC, 6 foot, 175 pounds, just a really well-rounded receiver. I think he's going to probably go in the first round. I think that most people are probably, like, based on the list that I've seen, he's around that 3 to 5 range for most people. But yeah, for me, he's my number 4. I think that his potential is really high. I mean, we think back to a year or two ago, and a lot of people thought that Jordan Addison could come out as like the top receiver in his class. Now, he didn't end up doing that, but I think that he has sky-high potential. He's a pretty solid route runner. He feels like a natural when it comes to creating space. I think that he feels like a less glorified version of Devonta Smith coming out. Maybe not as elite of a route runner, but in terms of like the size comparison, I mean, they're near identical. I don't actually, hold on. Let me pull up Devonta Smith's weight, because I'm trying to see what it was. He might have been lighter. Devonta Smith,
pretty sure he was lighter, because that was a concern coming out.
Yeah, he's 6 foot. He weighs 170 now. I don't know what he weighed coming out.
It's like 160. I think that was a concern.
Jordan Addison, also 6 foot. He weighs 175, so he's a little bit bulkier, which is nice because NFL teams will prefer that. But like I said, really strong route runner. I think he's got sky-high potential. He's got good speed and athleticism. He just feels very fluid when it comes to moving. Once again, he is a little lighter. 175 is not ideal, but we've seen Devonta Smith was able to make it work. And so if Devonta Smith can make it work, I think Jordan Addison can too. I think that the thing that I just talked about with Jalen Hyatt, to where, like you pointed out, it feels like if he ends in the right system, then he could blow up. I think that Jordan Addison feels almost system proof. Like his strengths kind of apply to any offense. So yeah, Jordan Addison, he's my number 4. I don't feel like I need to go too much into it because you already covered him as well. So that is my number 4. So